Alright, the next thing I want to show you is how to add music and sound effects. So I just have them use the audio that is already built in. You can see right here, if you have iTunes on there, that will be on there, but iTunes doesn't have any content on our computers unless that's something you're interested in. But there are so many sound effects, I've never really found the need for it. In the rare occasion that a student wanted a particular song, they recorded it from YouTube on their iPad and then added it in from there. So there are different categories of sound effects, and those can be found here. So we have the jingles, and there is no shortage of jingles, and you can see that they're all different lengths, and those can be shortened if you need them. There's also all these other sound effects here. So sticking with the jingles, let's say that we wanted our intro, let's say this is a news background, we wanted our intro to come in. Let's just try a couple. Okay, and then I'm going to just drop this below it. So again, it's always layers. I like to think of the kind of most important thing on top, and then maybe the least important things on the bottom, or maybe it goes down. This is too long, it's 9 seconds. And so I'm just going to drag it and shorten it how I want. Sometimes I may need to play with the length to make sure that I'm not cutting the song off like in the middle of something. So let's see what that sounds like. So pretty short, but for this exercise we'll make it just a little bit longer. And this, again, this is just a silly example. This is not what we would use. Okay, so that is how to add music in. We typically have music at the beginning of the news, but I do want to show you how to fade it out so that it's more of a transition and less of like a cutoff and then directly to students. As you hover over, you'll see this little tiny little circle, and this is your fade. So depending on where you want your fade, you can even overlap your video and your music a little bit if you wanted to. And let's hear the difference. And so that's a little softer on the transition. Another thing to note is the volume here. So really, really loud, obviously really soft. For recording purposes on the green screen video, video sound, I turn that all the way up to 400 because everybody's projector is different. My projector blasted the news at 400%, but a lot of people complain that they couldn't hear it, but that is a projector issue as long as your students are talking loudly. So music, just kind of play with, but I always turn their video up to 400, especially for my softer spoken students. So let's say that we get down here and we have, I don't know, maybe we have a fun fact about animals and we want to add some cricket sounds. You're going to simply just drop it wherever you want. And again, it may not be the length that you want it. You can shorten it to exactly what you want. And you can also move it to wherever you want. Like that. And again, your volume up, down, fade in, or fade out. Like that. So a recap from last video while we're up here. This is your media. So where all your media lives. These are our recordings, which in this case is our music. This is our audio, and then backgrounds and transitions. Do note that when you do transitions, it changes the length of this, and you can actually double click on the transition to change the length of it if you want a longer transition. And that will just make your change a little different. The next thing on here, while we're talking about the beginning of the news, my students like to add the words WLSA. So they just went here to titles. And this works just like any of these other things. You're going to drag whatever it is that you want on top of your other content. So let's say, I don't know, they wanted this one. And you can see again, it's too long. No worries, we're just going to drag it shorter to be exactly what we wanted. And you'll notice that over here, it comes up. And then from there, you can change your font, you can change your color, all of that fun stuff, like that. So let's look at what we have now. So just those like little tiny little things make the news like that. So then maybe we get over here to our crickets, and we want to highlight the word cricket. I don't know. It may take a little playing with. We can move it just where we want. And then when you click on it here, it's going to pop up over here. Not sure why that popped up on the bottoms, or on the bottom. Let's see what we have there. Oh, it's only 1 second, that could be why. And so you can see I didn't finish my crickets chirping 1 P or 2. And maybe a little bit too late for me to try to spell. And then the check mark. I just hit the enter button on the keyboard though, is how that works. And there you go. So that is adding music, adjusting the volume, adjusting your fade in or fade out, and adding any type of title.